Hello, and welcome to a game called The Ascent. This is a twin-stick shooter set in a cyberpunk-style world, and it offers a pretty large campaign with a bunch of main missions, a bunch of side missions, and more interestingly than that, it offers up to 4 players to play cooperatively throughout that entire campaign. I think you have to do the tutorial mission by yourself, but after that, you are completely able to play the entire thing with buddies, and I think that sounds like so much fun. I put about 10 to 15 hours into the game so far, and I've been really enjoying it. It has a lot more meat and a lot more thought put into it than other twin-stick shooters such as Alienation or Helldivers. So in this video, I'm going to kind of show you a different gameplay aspects of it. I can show you how your character sort of upgrades and different things you can do with your character to make it completely your own. And towards the end of it, I'm going to go around and I'm going to shoot up some dudes and show you kind of how the game looks whenever you're playing it. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to note is that this game has a story, as many games do, but I'm going to say it right now, I have not paid attention to literally any of it. I watched the intro cinematic, and then after that, I just skipped every piece of dialogue, everything possible, and I've just been going from combat situation to combat situation and having a wonderful, wonderful time. Because this game implements something very interesting is why I'm able to do this, right? So if I ever hit the up arrow on the D-pad, it sends this little red stream out. Now what that red stream does is it indicates, hey, for the mission you have selected, you need to go this way for 202 meters at this point. That is an amazing feature which enables me to skip every piece of dialogue I want to and just swap around missions. So if you have a main mission or a side mission, whatever is your active mission, that little arrow or that little path will always take you to exactly where you need to go. An amazing function, and I think that other people who don't care about story just as much as I do will love being able to use that. Okay, so let's talk about actual gameplay and why I think this game is a little bit more interesting than things like Alienation. So, one of the big functions of this game is your ability to aim. So when you're firing normally, it's going to be a hip fire, right? And you're going to shoot down here at hip level, i.e. hip fire. But you can also aim. And as you can see from my laser on this wall, my laser goes up a bit whenever I aim. Why is that? Well, this game also offers different enemy height. So there are some enemies, in the early game at least, that are really small, sort of grunt-like creatures, grunts from Halo. And if you aim at them up here at your shoulder level, you'll miss them. They'll run right onto you and you'll completely miss them. So instead, you have to hip fire at those specific enemies in order to actually deal damage to them. It's a little, a precaution, a couple of things you have to take into consideration whenever you're in a gunfight, especially with multiple types of enemies. Another reason why you can have different heights is because of cover. Some enemies will take cover behind these chest-high walls, and if you try to shoot them, of course, at hip fire level, you're just going to hit the cover. So instead, you're going to have to flank around them. Now, of course, they could just be standing behind the cover, in which case you can fire over. Now, I know what you're saying. If enemies can hide behind cover, can't you? Yes, you can. There is a crouch button, and you can crouch to get in a lower position, and you can shoot up over your piece of cover, just like that, making it more of a cover-based twin-stick shooter than just a regular twin-stick shooter, such as, again, Alienation or Helldivers. This amount of tactical play, just in gunplay, is something that really makes this game shine, if you ask me, on top of other things as well. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, Nathan, you're wasting a lot of bullets. Isn't that going to cost you money? No. You don't buy ammo in this game. It's much like Overwatch, where the only thing you need to worry about is your reloads. Other than that, you don't worry about ammo whatsoever, which is amazing. I'm so happy that you don't have to worry about buying bullets all the time. Thusly making baseball bats less viable for actual primary weapons, and just sort of a last-ditch effort if they're getting too close, right? Continuing on, we have some abilities as well. It's not just about what weapons you have, it's about what abilities you equip. If you look at my HUD on the bottom right side, you can see my assault rifle with a 45 clip, and you can see my baseball bat. But to the right of it, you can see that I have 2 squares, and those are my abilities, or augmentations, as they call them in the game. The only one I have equipped is a hydraulic punch, which is boom, massive punch that completely blows enemies away and deals a lot of damage. Whenever I do any of my abilities, I use a little bit of my blue bar on the right side, which is my energy. And whenever I take damage, I lose a little bit more of my red bar. And those two bars are on the left side of that little square. Finally, you'll see that little circle with a plus sign in the middle of it. That is my tactical gear, and I won't be able to deploy it here, but I'll talk more about it here in a minute. And without further ado, oh, there is one last thing, of course. You have a dodge. You can dodge all around the place, which is really handy when you're trying to get away from enemies sprinting towards you with giant hammers, or when you're trying to dodge bullets and get to a safe place so you can crouch down and take cover. But let's take a look at what else we can do with our character to sort of customize it and make it our own creation. So I'm going to go into the menu here. And as you can see, there's a number of tabs and a lot of things on screen. Don't be afraid of it. Honestly, don't worry about much of any of it, because we're not going to look at bounties, we're not going to look at the cyber deck, we're just going to look at skills, okay? Because that's the only thing we care about in this particular tab. On the right side, the status side of it, you can see things like your resources, how much HP and energy you have, and down at the bottom you can see what level you are, and I'm currently level 11. So that's all just sort of basic stuff that you can sort of look at quickly, but let's get into skills. Now, when you think skills, you probably think of, you know, something that you do actively. In this game, these are more so attributes, and I wish they would have called them attributes, but they don't. These are going to be things like in Dark Souls where you have strength and dexterity and intelligence, just general upgrades that sort of just make you a stronger combatant. These are sort of like those. So you have tactical sense, which recharges your grenades and what have you. And there's a bunch of different tactical gear you can have. I'll talk more about that here in a minute. You can have things like critical hit rate, which of course increases your chances of landing a headshot, essentially. Your reload and swap speed. You can increase your spread recovery for like assault rifles, SMGs, LMGs. I think miniguns are in this game. I haven't gotten that far. You can choose things like balance. So when an enemy would use a stun or a knockback ability, the higher your balance, the less you are affected by those particular abilities. You can increase things like evasion and be able to dodge a lot further and a lot more often. Things like vital sign and body battery increase your health and energy. Standard buffs that you'll definitely need in order to be able to, you know, kill things and live past their assault. So those are all the 8 different skills. Again, sort of attributes that you can go through in the game, and you can upgrade any of them in any order you like, and they all cap out at 20. As you can see, my tactical sense is fully capped out at 20 because I really like my tactical ability, and I'll talk more about that right now, actually. So this is where you can have your different weapons. Your loadout is your weapon set. You have a primary and a secondary, but there are no such things as primary, quote-unquote, primary weapons and secondary weapons. Any weapon you can put on either one of these slots, you can definitely put on the other slot. So, for example, if I wanted to do the HMG Dominator here on my primary slot, sure, I could do that. Or I could put it on my secondary slot and switch between them just as easily as if it was in primary, okay? So there's no real difference here. You can have any gun in any situation. But down here, you have a tactical gear, okay? These are gonna be typically things like, you see, frag grenade, shock grenade, EMP grenades. It's typically grenades. Sometimes you can have other abilities like summoning robots to help you on the battlefield, or what I have equipped, which is my reju field, which slowly regenerates health whenever you use it. These only recharge after you deal damage. So you need to be able to deal damage and be constantly dealing damage in order to recharge your tactical gear in order to use it again. So it's not quite like abilities. It's a bit more rare and a bit more... You need to plan out when you're going to use your tactical abilities because, again, you're never going to have them... If you use them all the time, you're never going to have them when you really need them. Then we go over here to armor. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with armor. It's pretty basic stuff. If you look at the right side, I'm switching between the number values and the description. You can see physical, energy, digital, and fire. These are all the defense values, okay? And then on the right, you can see if I use this particular Death Glare visor, I would have 0, 0, I would have 5 digital, and I'd have 5 fire defense if I switch to this particular visor. I'm not going to do that because that doesn't sound amazing to me. And of course, down below that, different pieces of equipment are going to have different boosts that they give you. So if you're looking to have a lot of evasion, you can try to find things that have more evasion values on them or whatever else. And of course, every piece of gear has a different look to it. You can go to a certain NPC and make it to where it always looks like you're wearing jeans. Like for me, I'm always wearing these Levi's, and I think they look damn good on my character because I play Fashion Souls, and golly gee, I look pretty cool. So that's all for the armor. Let's go into the augmentation screen here, and you can see that these are, your abilities. Like I said, I already showed you the hydraulic slam. Um, and I do not have a second ability, unfortunately. So I just have the hydraulic slam there. And then you see these two module slots. These are passive buffs. So they're not like attributes, they're not like bonuses you get from your armor. No, instead, these are yet another thing you can do to customize your character. Currently, I only have one module, and that is my Vita Sign Booster, which just increases my maximum HP. I do not have a second one, unfortunately. But as you continue the game, I'm sure you'll get more and more augmentations, you'll get more and more modules to really make your character your own. I truly doubt anyone's going to have the same type of character in this game. Moving on, we have the map, and the map looks really busy because of all these pins stuck all over the place. Of course, as you go around and you collect these yellow boxes, these are treasure chests. Typically, this will have, maybe a piece of armor in it, maybe some U-creds, which is the currency in this game. But whenever you get it, these pins are removed and your map gets cleaned up a little bit more. Looking at the map as well, you'll see these red M's. These are pretty much the fast travel points, or the waypoints if you're playing Diablo 2. And whenever you get to a new area, you're definitely going to want to try to find these fast travel points. And then you see these little blue symbols. This is where a town hub is. There's multiple towns I'm finding out in this game. And they all have things like guns and armors, and they'll sell augments and all sorts of things going on here. And there is a shop in here where you can recustomize your character. So at the beginning of the game, you completely make your character from scratch, essentially. And if you're unsatisfied with the way your character looks for whatever reason, you can go back to that particular NPC and say, hey, I want to change my face, or I want to change my gender, or do literally whatever you want, and it's always completely free. The final one here is the Codex. Never go to this tab. It's almost completely useless except for this top one, which is tutorials, because I need to figure out what was it, stasis. I didn't know what stasis was. So I have at least used this once, but other than that, it is pretty much completely pointless unless you really like story, and as you know, I do not care about the story. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of go down here. I'm pretty sure there's some enemies down here, and I'm going to show you a little bit of what the actual gameplay looks like. Let's get into some trouble. How about it? Okay, so we see some guys here. Oh, here we go. I can see some red dots on my radar. Now, one of the big things about this game is enemies will absolutely wreck you if you allow them. So you pretty much need to take cover. And as you can see right here, I'm taking cover and I'm still shooting this guy while I'm kind of behind cover, because he came around to try to flank me. So I can still stay covered from these other enemies that are trying to shoot me right now, while it's taking care of the immediate threat. And they have a little buff going on here with this blue thing. This guy's taking cover as well, it looks like. Oh, I can't hit him for whatever reason. Okay, let's get away from him. And I'm actually going to be able to use my field ability. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to pick up some of this stuff, pick up this. And I'm going to use my tactical ability. Nope, that's not it. It would be this one. Boom. So if you look at my health, it's slowly regenerating because I love being a support player in every game I can. And the enemies will actually notice that you're using things like regenerating field and whatnot, and they'll come towards you to try to take advantage of it. Because these things will actually heal enemies as well. I can't pick up the health pack, but I can pick up some MCH pants. If I were hurt at all, I could definitely pick up the health pack, but unfortunately, I'm perfectly fine. Health packs actually drop relatively often in this game, so even if you don't have an ability to heal, you should be able to find a health pack before too long as you're going through and killing enemies. If not, definitely have one player carry the rejuve field. It's very nice. I truly enjoy it. One last thing I did not talk about, though, is the amount of different armors and stuff is not that many. Okay, I didn't mention this because I didn't think it was too important, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, it's not like Diablo 2 where every single piece of legwear is going to be completely different. Instead, they'll just kind of stack. So you can see The ED10 Sec Force trousers, I have 4 copies of this particular set of pants. All of these copies have the exact same numbers, do the exact same thing. And so when I go to a shop, I can simply go to my trousers, go over here and sell 3 of them and not care about, anything that I'd be missing out on because I'm truly not. Also, you can upgrade. I'm pretty sure you can upgrade your armors as well as your weapons. There's special materials you can collect that allow you to say, hey, I really like using this Dread assault rifle. I'll start upgrading it and start making it stronger and stronger and stronger to help deal with the threat of the enemies. So that is pretty much all I really want to say about this game as of right now. I know this video is, 16 minutes long? Maybe 17 if I don't end it soon. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but this game is on sale right now, up until the 21st of September, 2022. That'll be this Tuesday. Normally it's a $30 game, but it is down to $17 or $18. And so I really think that if you want to jump on this game and start playing it with me, now would be the time to purchase it. It is, like I said, 30% off. It's kind of a steal for something that I'm enjoying this much. And something that is this tactical. I can't begin to stress how many times I've died in this game because it is incredibly important that you learn to take cover, that you prioritize enemies that are flanking you, that you stay out of the way of frag grenades and shockwave abilities, and there's just a lot going on in every single combat scenario, rather than in games like Helldivers or Alien Nation, where you're just simply running. It feels like you're just constantly running around. In this game, if you constantly run around, you will absolutely get obliterated, and I love it. So that's all I have for the video. If you made it this far, congratulations. And I hope to see you on The Ascent.